have to, because I think you might see it, but I think we're live now anyway. We're going to find out because once we start getting people chatting, Aaron.
Now, is that chat from YouTube or Facebook?
It'll be both.
Oh, they both drop in. Wow.
Yeah.
Technology, man.
This is the first time we've done this together on this channel, guys, where we're going live to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Let me just open up the photography videography skill. I'm just going to see if it shows there. Let me come down. So bear with us. This is just pre-show at the moment, but it should be showing up live, I hope. Yep, we're there. So it is live now, Aaron. So it's live on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. The Facebook group is the Photography Videography School. So that's where that's going to show up. Now, I did stuff up the time. I originally put 10 o'clock my time tonight. I got mixed up. So people don't realise this was going to be streamed now. So we're just giving it a couple of minutes for people to find out that we're on live before we start the show. So how have you been, Aaron?
Been really, really good. It's starting to get really hot here. So it should be cooling down in your area, right?
Yes, it is. We're starting to go, well, we're in autumn now, or what they call, it's your fall, I suppose, you could say.
Yeah, I always get jealous of you at this time because I love the fall and I love cold. Yeah. And I'm like baking over here.
Yeah, I like it too. I love the seasons actually because it's it's interesting. So now I wanted to say this because I can't understand why people actually think that that I'm a Sony fanboy. I've just got a little bit of sweat. Just got a little bit of sweat on my face here that I just want to get off. Let me just
that's still not good. That's still not going to win their hearts to you.
and then I've just got my key. Where did I put my keys?
Oh my God.
I got that. Where did I stick that key before? Not sure, but I don't know. But now I'm thinking about.
You're not a fanboy.
No, I'm thinking about just taking some notes with this pen in a minute just to see how
I can see it says Sony on
the show. Now, why do people think that I'm a fanboy? This is what I don't understand. I really don't understand it. Like, people shouldn't say that I'm a fanboy.
Yeah, it's like you don't have it on anything. If you start sipping from a Sony mug.
Yeah, I should have brought my Sony mug in. That would have been good. I forgot.
Oh, you have one? Oh my gosh. You need you should next time you got to put everything Sony on.
Yeah, but the funny thing is they're sent to me because I'm in Sony Pro support. You do a once a year questionnaire, and then they send you these for actually answering the questionnaire. Last year I got the cup and something else. I think it was a bag actually, but this year they sent me all of those. So I thought, yeah,
that is too funny. Now I was looking at this. Now I can see the chat. George just put, hey George, how you doing? I can't comment though.
Oh, so you can't? Well, you can. You could actually, if you opened up YouTube, you'd be able to comment there, or if you did it on the Facebook page, you can even comment there too. So perhaps you do have to have a window open. I would have thought that you could have chatted. So obviously you can't. So you have to open up a comment box. Obviously,
well, I have to do that pop-out thing, right?
Yeah. And we can switch these around. Like at the moment, I've got as sort of 16:9, but then I can go the opposite way, which is like this. Does it change? Oh, yeah, like that, because then I can stick down, the I think I do it from over here, actually. So if I go there for George, it'll show the comment down the bottom. Whoops, just spilled my coffee.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie. How are you? I've just spilled my coffee. I should use my Sony towel to...
Oh, my God.
to dry it up. Oh, I've got it all over the place. Lucky it didn't go on my electronic equipment there. Oh, honestly.
I can't believe you didn't deck out all in it. Like wear the shirt, wear the hat, have the keychain thing on, have your cup.
I haven't got a Sony top.
Give it time. They'll send you one.
Oh, yeah, right.
Hey, that's all they're going to send you. They're not going to send you a lens or a camera.
No, yeah, that's right. I'm not getting any of that sort of stuff, that's for sure.
Oh, my God.
George is here. Now, George, it shows that, just so you know, Aaron, the little symbols that come down, it'll be, so that's the YouTube symbol. Now, if you look here, we've got a Facebook user. Now, that Facebook user is because they haven't clicked yet on this thing that I've got to share. So if I copy this,
Yeah, I see it says Facebook user, so we have no idea who that is.
yeah. Now, this person, whoever that is, you've only ever got to do this once. If you click on that link that I just put up there, it's the chat restream link. It just basically asks for permission, and then we'll see you as well, so we'll know who you are.
So the Facebook user, yeah.
Yeah, so Facebook user has to click on that so that then it gives permission basically so we can see both Facebook and also YouTube. So then his name will come up with his icon.
I got it. I'm trying to move
So it's just something that we've got to do with, it's just something that we've got to do in the photography videography school is get people to click on that so that when we go live to it, we're going to know who they are. So Facebook user, whoever you are, and I'll stick it in the chat live as well, just so that you can see it there.
Well, here's the well, let me see. Okay, if I have the YouTube pop out, I can't see any of the Facebook people.
No, you won't.
So I'd have to have them both. If I say hi, does mine show up in this app?
Yeah, it will.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. But you can see it. Can you see it in the stream on the right-hand side of our stream now that we've got?
The chat?
Yeah, you can see the chat there, can't you?
Yeah, I can see it there, and then I have to have the YouTube pop-out chat just so I can chat, I guess.
Yes, yeah, but it'll just go into just YouTube. Yeah, so it wouldn't.
Now you don't have any.
Facebook.
You can't give me permission to chat with inside of this.
Well, I don't think so. I'll just check. Hang on, let me check preferences.
Like make me administrator or something. That way I don't have to keep an eye on both of these things. I'm terrible at looking at one, let alone two.
Yeah, I don't think I'll see if I can Google it to see, but it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like you can. I might have to message someone and ask, because this is a paid application. It's around about, I think it's $40. I think it's $35 or $40 a month. So it's not cheap, but it seems to be the best solution. You can actually stream to 30 channels, Aaron. So I can go out to 30 different media sort of streams.
Do IG, Instagram.
Like Twitch and, all these other places. So if you did have it, the good part here too is that we are going to start soon, guys. We're just letting everyone know we're here. But the good part with this program is that I only have to upload to them once and then they stream it out on their side. So the bandwidth is, much better.
That's probably why we got 1080 out of this.
Yes.
And the other one was 720, the one that we did a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right. We had to pay for that. Leslie said, hi, David and Aaron, and all talk about the lenses. Who can afford the Canon 400 and 500 mils? I know they are really expensive. We're still waiting on the Facebook user to say who it is. Click on that link, Facebook user.
Facebook user just says, can you see me when I write? Whoever that is, all we see is it says Facebook user. So there's a link David just put down below in this chat. If you click on it, I think that'll allow you to be seen.
I'll stick it again. All it does, it just opens up a web page that then asks for access, and then you'll come through as the proper user where we'll know who it is. G'day, Mark. How are you? So, Aaron, you are right eye dominant.
Yes. That's why it works perfect for me.
What do I use? I use the left eye. Yeah, I do.
Your left eye?
So you would use your... Yeah, I think I use right eye.
Yeah, I'm always like this with my right eye.
Yeah, which is good because you can also see from that. Now, do you close the other eye or you keep it open?
Well, typically if I was like on the regular hump, I would probably just close it because it's, or maybe not, I don't know, but I would be looking right into the camera basically. So I don't remember if I keep it open or not. However, when I'm using like this, I do use this because when I'm like shooting a model, or in this case, it was my wife was the last model I shot. You could see like people, I'm like this, composing her. Sometimes I would be like this, but most of the time I still kind of use this. But I would be like this, and I can open this eye up to see the people coming, and I'm still looking at her, making sure the hair didn't blow or something. And when I see the people not coming, then I can say, okay, here we go, boom, boom, boom. So I do keep this open when I'm using the rangefinder style, so it kind of helps.
Cool. George said, greetings from New Jersey. Good to see you two together again. What about the new Tamrons? Which ones were they? Were the ones announced recently? Yeah, all the Tamron lenses seem to be really good value for money. I mean, both Aron and myself. Aron will talk about it. I'm not even going to mention the Tamron at the moment, but he'll talk about that in his talk about the A7C.
Facebook user, no, I don't see you still. I don't, it just says Facebook user. It says, Facebook user said, I did click on it already. I'll try again. By the way, it's Mario Photos, what's it say? Consultation? I can't read what that is.
Yeah. I wonder why that.
My text is so small though.
Yeah, I don't know whether you can go full screen on it, Aron.
But then I can't see the YouTube thing.
You can't see the monitor and stuff. You need to buy, listen.
But hi, Mario. Anyway.
You're going to have to up the game, Aron, and buy a second monitor. Let's,
Oh, I have one.
Can't you push it onto that?
Well, it's not hooked up now, but I do have one. I might do that later.
All right. We better get started. Otherwise, it's going to be really late for Aron, and he's going to miss his bedtime cuppa.
My battery's going to only last like 45 minutes now. So we got 45 minutes.
So we better get started. So if Aron goes back. Now, if I do get a phone call, guys, I do unfortunately have to. Oh, Mario, it's worked. See, Mario just updated, so it's worked.
Oh, I see it.
So, yeah, well done, Mario. You worked it out. I'll just show where are we. I think it's down the bottom. It's there anyway, but at least we can see who it is now. Yeah, you're right now, Mario. Yeah, if I get a phone call, I have to pop out just for a second because I'm trying to organise the surgeon to do this cancer that I've got to get taken out. So hopefully they'll ring sometime, maybe after this. So, but if it does, Aron,
if so, take it and I'll just blabber on.
Yeah, you just blabber away. I love it. All right, so we have to get started because Aron needs his little hot chocolate before he goes to bed, and we can't leave that too late.
It's my Sony a6000 battery. It's not nothing else.
All right, so we're going to start because Aron wants to talk about last week. If you want to go back, we did discuss all of Aron's A7C love because he really surprised me because when that camera came out, I did think, I really thought it was a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say bummer release, but I was a bit disappointed. But Aron has, Aron, you did say that, didn't you? But Aron has completely changed. So
we completely we thought the same thing basically.
Yeah. So what Aron is going to do today, so that was last week. He went through everything about why he loved this camera so much. So today he's going to take you through what lenses he used. And this is going to be a really interesting discussion. So, I can't wait. So I'm going to switch over to Aron and I'll let him go.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen because let's see if how I'm going to do that. Is my screen being shared yet? Hello? Uh-oh, I lost audio. David, I don't hear you. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Now I can hear you.
If I go off air, I thought I could just make you big, but I don't know. I have to play around with this. I think you're still sharing the previous one because I've still got that there with your Facebook page. So you might have to stop sharing and then share.
No, I did.
Again.
I stopped sharing. It's a new, I stopped it before we started.
It's still showing here for me. See, that's
you should see Facebook.
Oh, that's it. Yes. Well, there you go. You're up.
I want to show the Facebook real quick. So are we ready?
Bigger?
Well, see, now I can hear you.
I'm just trying to see if I can make that bigger. No, that's as big as that goes. Hang on, let me have a look there. Oh, that's better. Okay.
Okay, I see you and I hear you. Okay, so just to go over some lenses really quick. Now, I'm in no way, I found the perfect camera, and that's the Sony a7c. That's a perfect camera for me. Of course, probably not the perfect camera for you, but I found my perfect camera after all these 12 years. Now it's the lenses. What's my perfect lens? Well, lens is actually a little more difficult because I already knew what features I wanted in the camera after having the Sony a7 III and the Panasonic G9, and the other what do you call it, rangefinders type. So I knew that. When it comes to lenses, it's a little trickier because I love, I don't like a lot of gear. I'm a minimalist. I like small, light, inexpensive gear, even though I do professional stuff, but the output is just as professional as you can get. But I do like smaller, less expensive gear. So the lenses that I have now is I posted this on our Facebook group, and I think you could see it here. It's photography and videography school. So if you're new, head on over there and follow the questions you have to join or whatever. And so I posted this picture here. This is my, basically, everything that I take with me inside. Can they still see me too, David, or no?
Yep. Hang on, I'll switch to you full screen. I'll bring it up bigger, and then just tell me when you want to switch back to the
Okay.
other thing. Yep.
So this is a Peak Design 5-liter. If you know me by now, you know this is one of my favorite bags. It kind of looks big sometimes in videos and stuff like this, but it's pretty small actually. And this is my favorite bag. If I can get my gear that I use to fit in this, then I'm good to go. Now, when I do a professional photo shoot for, I would say, a wedding or a magazine shoot, I'm taking, you know, light stands and flashes and umbrellas. I'm taking a little more than just this. But if I'm doing like a love story, or I'm doing even model shoots out and about, or I'm just traveling around, or street photography, or what have you, this is always with me. And when I do weddings, this is actually with me also, because I'll have a bag off to the side and this on me. So if I can get the gear that I used in this, then I'll be happy. So you can go full screen again, David.
Okay.
So that leads me to the Sony a7c, why I like it so much, and these lenses here. Now this is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8, and we've got the kit lens, which is the 28-60 f4 to f5.6, and then we've got the lens I'm actually filming this live broadcast on, and that's the inexpensive Sony 50mm f1.8. Those are the three lenses that I'm using now, and I don't think I can click through all these, but if you want to go over there and you can just search.
You can open them up, Aaron, because you might as well show some images.
Okay, so now what I'm showing in this post is every photo, not every photo, but all the photos in this post were taken with one of these three lenses. The great majority of these photos were taken with the kit lens. However, I'm just going to go through these quick and then I'll explain it. So this was the Tamron here. This is the Tamron. This is the Tamron, but it was at f5.6. We'll go into that later. This was the Tamron f5.6, Tamron f5.6. This is the kit lens, f5.6, because that's as wide as it goes, wide as it goes. This is the kit lens. This is the kit lens. I'm just giving you an idea. This was the kit lens, kit lens, and the kit lens, and this was the 50mm because we were in candlelight dinner. This was literally really low light, so I pulled out the 50mm f1.8.
It's beautiful.
And then thanks. Now this was with the 50mm because I was trying it compared with the kit lens at 60mm at f5.6, and really in a shot like this, when the model's that far away and you're both at around 50 to 60mm, you really can't tell the difference in background blur, to believe it or not. If I were to zoom in and pixel peep, sure, I would notice these plants back here being blurrier, but when you're just looking at it like this, there's not a huge difference, believe it or not, just because I'm so far away from the model, I'm not close to her. And then this was the kit lens. I shot wide and cropped because it's really hard to get this type of crop in camera, which we're actually going to talk about that later in story here. But this is the kit lens. This is probably at f5.8 because there's no way I'd get all this in focus if I shot at f2.8 or even f4. I would have some blurring issues on some of the jewelry. This was a runway shoot that I did using this is all with the Sony a7c. This was the kit lens, believe it or not, at 60mm at f5.6 wide open. And this was just after this is the designer that my wife models clothing for, and this was just straight out of camera JPEG, which we'll actually talk to. This is with the kit lens. Now this is all street photography. These are all the kit lens, and I'm just going to go through these really quick, and later on you guys can look at this stuff. And this is important why the lenses I choose. So I'm just going to go really quick through these guys. This is all the kit lens. Yeah, I know, it's great, right? Now these are cityscapes, a7c with the kit lens at f5.6 handheld at nighttime, and this was the same time just looking up above me from that last shot you saw. Here's another handheld cityscape at night. These are all snowy shots with the kit lens, and more of the kit lens here. Kit lens, and the kit lens, more kit lens. These are all kit lens, and these are kit lens.
So how much is that kit lens?
I'm not sure. You can get it with the camera. I'm almost done with these. These are all kit lens, guys. Oh, check this out. Now this is the kit lens at 60mm f5.6. if you get fairly close to something like the scooter here, you can see that there is background blur. So if you really want to, concentrate on an object, you can get close to it like this. I mean, I'm not that close, but I'm close enough to where there's ample background blur, on something like that. And all these are kit lenses, and the kit lens, this is the flippy screen, got really low to the ground, kit lens, more kit lens stuff. So, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this. How do I stop sharing? You can stop sharing it, right?
Yeah, I can just turn it off. Well, it's gone now anyway, so it's right.
Okay, where's my chat?
But you know what's interesting about that is usually people say that you should, never use a kit lens. They're always saying that the quality suffers in a kit lens as compared to using the more expensive lenses. But I actually think that that's us photographers being pixel peepers, because I don't think, if you looked at what Aron did, and if you go to the videography school or even Aron's YouTube channel, he goes through all of this. But if you look at those images that he just showed you, high res, like if you actually go to the actual photography videography school and look at them there, the quality's gorgeous. I mean, it really is. Sometimes I think we carry on about having to have what we think is the best equipment when often it's not. It's all in the eye of the shooter.
Exactly. Now, can I share real quick, David?
Yep.
Let's see if, I was going to show you guys something. If you're interested, because he was talking about it, let me share that. I don't know how to get it out now.
Yep.
Well, you can see right here, I did a review of the kit lens, comparing it with the Tamron 28-75, as you can see on my YouTube channel right here. And that goes through all the photos I showed you, and probably a lot more as well. Okay, we can stop sharing that. I got something else I can go. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think it's just playing in the background.
I know. I don't know where it went. Oh, no. Boom. Done. Okay, so now I'm gonna post that link right here in the chat. So if you guys are interested, you can come back to it and look at it. So first of all, when you watch the video, it's not a comparison to see which lens is better. And what David is talking about is some kit lenses are actually like really good. For one, I know the Fuji 16-55 f2.8 to f4, I think it is. Or f2. What is it? f4 to whatever, That's an actually really good lens. I was shocked with that, and I was shocked with this. So much so, I wanted to put it and just check it out with the lens that I had for 3 years. That's the Tamron 28-75. I just wanted to see, like, when I'm out using this, am I going to feel guilty later and look at my shot and go, oh, I wish I would have put the Tamron on because this is so much sharper, And it's not. Watch that review I did, and it's like, sometimes, one corner is a little sharper than the other. It's basically a wash. So this thing's pretty good. And, if you're not a pixel peeper, almost all lenses today is going to look great. It's that pixel peeping that everybody is so used to doing is where you're going to find differences. Now, someone just did a video comparing this with the new Sigma 28-70.
How did that go?
Well, I think this might be a little sharper at 75. I didn't have the lens. This is what most people say. This is a little sharper at 75. It's a little sharper at the closest focal distance of both. This one's a little more vignette, maybe a little more chromatic aberration. The thing is, it's when you side by side these lenses nowadays, you literally sometimes, like when I was doing these two, and when I was doing this with the Zeiss 55, which is a known sharp at 50 millimeters, on this, comparing it with the Zeiss 55, which is known to be a sharp lens, I had to pixel peep, and you're looking at it pixel peeping, and you know what lens have you used. I'm the one who took them. I'm zooming in, and sometimes like, if I have to give it to one, I give it to that. I mean, come on, that's just like absurd at this point. So I think you can get any lens today, and it's going to look great. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, it really is. So I've actually kind of got away from just caring so much about sharpness. I mean, I guess I am one of those. However, when I do get a lens, there is a thing called manufacturer variances where you might get, let's say, a Tamron lens, and you heard a lot of people say, my gosh, it's like so sharp at 50 millimeters in the center, it compares to the 55 Zeiss, and you get yours, and you go, I just don't see it that sharp. So or whatever. That's a variance. Now what I do is every time I get a lens, I always do my high quality. Tammy's here. Hi, Tammy. Tammy mentioned that she loved my my magazine charts that I shoot. They're not the high-tech charts, but they're the same print, and it's easy to, if you can read it, it's good. If you can barely read it, you know, it's a bad lens. So I always compare any new lens with a lens that I've just known to be sharp in my arsenal. That way I just kind of know that, did I get a bad variant lens out of the off the assembly line or what? It's just, I just want to know. But I don't care too much about sharpness, to be honest with you. So the lenses that I've told you today is really the only 3 lenses that I use right now for the Sony a7c, and the reasons is because they got to fit in the bag like I started out with. Yeah. This camera with the kit lens literally fits in the bag. This is the 5 liter if you're just joining us. It fits right in the center like that. And now I don't typically take both of these zooms with me at the same time in the bag. I take this one and the 50mm f1.8 or the kit lens and the 50mm 1.8. Reasons why I do that is this lens right here is typically, if I'm going to do any type of a model shoot, like more of a professional situation model shoot, because this, even though I can shoot at f5.6 on this, I can also, well, it's only 5.6 on this, but I can stop down at f5.6 on this, which I do quite often. But I can also get more compression with 75. I can blur the background if I need
I love
to.
That lens.
I can be at 28 and get really close. You can watch my review on that. So this gives me a lot more artistic opportunities with this. So if I'm doing a wedding, an event, or a model shoot, I'll probably just go with this. I mean, it's not that heavy of a lens, you know, but it's just, this is my go-to. I literally don't need any other lens but this one. I mean, I could put that on my camera and don't need anything else besides my jewelry photography, which is a whole nother story, but don't need anything else. However, when I started using this thing, it's just so light. I mean, you know, if you click it out, it gets a little longer, but when it's in your bag, it's short. So, you know, holding up a lens like this when you're doing street type photography just feels so, it doesn't, even this wasn't that heavy, but once you compare it, it's like, wow, it's just so easy to
That's why I love the 55. Did you get rid of your 55, Aaron?
I did get rid of the 55
Yeah.
because I've got the Sony 50mm, and I compared those two, and it's a very close tie. You can watch a lot of reviews saying the same thing. The autofocus is a little bit of a different story, but when you have the 50mm in continuous autofocus, even on this camera, I mean, it doesn't have to jump further. So if I'm shooting a model and I'm holding the button down and it's doing its eye autofocus, I mean, it just tracks just like as good as anything else.
Yeah.
It's if you're shooting like close and then far, like you're doing like kids or dogs, or maybe even in a wedding where, you know, fast action, you'd probably want to go with the 55 because of the speed. However, I would just use the Tamron. But having the 50mm 1.8 is in case I get in a low light situation with either one of these. That's why I have it. And if I happen to have this on and I break it, well, I got the 50 with me. It's small, it's lightweight. But having this is kind of like having the small prime lens on it, the feeling of the lightness. And that's why I really like it. And when I'm doing street type photography, I don't care to blur the background, as you can see in my photos I showed. And that's really my go-to for just shooting just street landscapes, cityscapes, just anything like that. But when it comes to more like serious work, and I want to make sure I get the shot and be able to blur the background when I need to, then it's definitely going to be the Tamron. And the 50 is kind of just like a backup lens to me, or low light. And that's it. Now there's one lens.
Just before you go, I've just realized I've got my phone on not letting through unknown numbers. I've got to change it. Keep talking while I do this. I'm not being rude. I'm just changing something.
Go for it, David. Go for it. So that's the lens I have now. It does literally everything. This could literally do everything I need, but I do like the lightweight of this. So now when I'm going out, I'm shooting with this thing. I don't know what else to say. Oh, the only other lens that kind of tickles my fancy is the Samyang 75 f1.8. Tried it out for a while, and I really do like it. But man, you know, when you're zoomed out to 75 on this, and you have that Samyang at 75, 2.8 versus 1.8. You know, the background is a little bit blurrier, but
not much,
you know, this is blurry enough for me. It's low light enough in the most situation. It's wide enough, even though it's 28 in most situations for me. It's like they all go to then. So that's why I don't use the Samyang 75 anymore, because You know, I like the lightness of it, but when I'm running around, whether I'm doing pro work or not, I just don't like to switch lenses, even though I like to use primes, go figure, right? So anyways, this spoiled me with primes, and now this really spoiled me because the only thing primes had left for me was the light, small compactness, and now I got this, so I'm all good to go with the 3 that I've got. So that's it, David.
I mean,
I'm sweating like crazy.
like I said, yeah, it's obviously hot for you there. Do
Yeah,
you
it's
have
getting
air
real
conditioner
hot.
in the room, or you don't? Just the
I
fan?
do have a portable one, but it's too loud, I think, for live video,
Yeah.
so I don't turn it on.
Yeah, I never have to worry about. Well, I've got a big air conditioner just right up there, so I
Yeah,
I
so
don't
you're
worry.
lucky. Here and now. It's in the other rooms, but not in this one, unfortunately.
What's Leslie said, Aaron, the kit lens looks good. It does, doesn't it? That's what I was really surprised about. That see, I had when I bought the original A7C, I had what was it, the 24 to 70, what was it, the 70,
A7 III?
2470, but it was the F4 version, which is the kit lens, and I didn't like that lens.
You're talking about the Sony a7 III, right?
Yes, yeah. When I bought it was when I bought the A7 II. Actually, I bought
Oh,
it with
A7
that kit
II.
lens. Yeah, and I didn't like it at all.
The size
But
is good, but yeah, a
the
lot of
size
people
is
say it's
good.
really soft.
But like you said, it might also be variances of lenses as well. Like you said, perhaps I just had a bad copy, because I know when I was talking about the 35, the f1.4, the Sony, the people used to say that was very soft as well. But the one I had was very, very sharp. So
Which
perhaps
one?
there's variances. This is the 35 mil. It's a full frame Sony 1.4. It was the first one that they bought out, not the new one. It's the first one. But it's I always found that was really, really sharp, and I loved it. But when I got the 24 mil, I just didn't use 34 anymore, so I sold it. But I had a good copy. But yeah, perhaps there is just variances of lenses that some are worse than others.
There definitely is. I've noticed that in my own, where I went through a couple lenses to get a better one. Now, although I just said I don't care about sharpness, I want to make sure if I'm going to buy a lens, I want to get, I don't want to get one of the worst ones off the assembly line. I want to get one of the better ones, no matter how much that lens costs. So even if it's the Sony 50 millimeter, I want to make sure I get, the upper tier of the better ones and not the lower ones. But I've noticed definitely some bad copies of the same lens. And I also had a Nikon 24 to 120, I think it was, f4. I loved it. It was sharp. Other people said it was sharp. Tony Northrup just couldn't stand the lens, and he got a whole bunch of crap for it. And a lot of the blogs at the time, this was back, because he probably got a bad variance of it, because he said it was like really soft, and everybody's like, what? This thing's sharp. And so yeah, it does happen. So I test for that more often than just I'm trying to get the sharpest lens out there.
I love it. Everyone was bagging me for bagging the Sony ZV-1, which I've got up here. I am to Brown and a few others are bagging me. Mark is, because Mark said I bagged the 12 megapixels of the A7S III. Now it's my favorite camera, and also the A7C.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
So
Well, that's the thing.
me.
You know what? The thing is, this is one of them. Me and David both poo-pooed this. But then I said, I want a flippy screen. I mean, I want a flippy screen on my Sony a7 III so bad that when it first came out, I actually made a modification for it that gave me a flippy screen. But it wasn't, I couldn't find a bracket that was durable enough to use in practical use, or, doing a professional shoot. It was just kind of wonky. So I wanted it really bad. And then that's why I kind of went back to the Panasonic G9, because of the flippy screen and everything. And then this came out and said, you know what? It's got a flippy screen. Let me look more into it. And when I did, I said, my gosh, all the stuff I said negative about this, maybe it is good. And then I got it, and now it's my favorite camera of all time.
I love Home to Brown's comment. He said, Mark Force, that's how you know if a camera will be good. The more David Oastler talks about how bad it'll be before he touches it, the better in the real world
the better
it
will
be.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Bottom line is, you really don't know till you get it.
I love it. That's classic. Oh, you've got to laugh at yourself, honestly. Aaron, what one lens do you use for your jewelry?
That one is the Sony 90 millimeter f2.8. That I was using less expensive lenses with my Panasonic cameras at the time, when I wasn't like doing jewelry like full time. And then when I stepped up and started doing jewelry a little more full time, then I went to a Miki 85 millimeter f2.8, I think it was.
How'd you like that one?
It worked really good. I compared, well, I don't have the 90 with me. I compared the sharpness with the 90, which is a known sharp lens, with the Mickey, whatever it was called, and the center sharpness was like really good. I was like, wow. I mean, there's hardly a difference. It's again, you have to pixel peep and go, well, I guess I'll give it to that one. And at that point, it makes no sense because you're zooming at 200%. Nobody does that. So it was really good. However, once I discovered that there's an app that you can use for a PC that goes along with the Sony remote control app for the PC, that you can have, because the Mickey was full manual, not autofocus, that the 90mm has autofocus, and now I just have to focus because it's autofocus. I could focus on the very front of the ring and click this program, and now it focuses, takes the picture, focuses, all by itself, and you couldn't do that with full manual. So I ended up going with the 90mm, mainly for that purpose, because that Mickey was actually surprisingly sharp. But another thing is, if you're thinking about the Mickey lens, the focus was so fiddly. I mean, it was like, when you're doing macro photography, I mean, even at f8, like you just move it a little bit and that focus moves like, you know, you're out of focus already.
Yeah, it's so
and that
hard
Mickey,
to get focus.
That focus was so sensitive on it, the focus throw, where I actually had to like just stop breathing, and it was just so annoying. It took so long, where even if you were not to use the app on the Sony 90mm and you put it in autofocus, but you pull the clutch, how did that work? No, just autofocus. Don't pull the clutch forward to give you manual. Keep it in autofocus. But put it in manual focus, like in the software. I don't know if this makes any sense unless you have the 90. And now the focus throw is pretty large, so I can go like this before it moves forward. And now it's so easy to do these incremental focus pulls, or whatever you want to call it. But I use the auto feature in that 90mm.
And Axman said, have you used the kit lens on an APS-C camera? So have you used it on the A6000 series?
I did use it on there, but I didn't do any comparisons. The photos that I took, they look just as good. You know, it'd be one of those things where I wouldn't care at this point, because I've already tested it on the full frame camera with a known sharp lens that I've had for 3 years, and it works. So putting it on the Sony a6000, you would have to probably do another chart test to see the difference, which at this point, again, it'd be kind of ridiculous for me to do. But it looked great. I mean, of course, you got the crop factor. But the photos look just as good as they were on this when you're just looking at them at face value. So it worked great.
Now, what have you been finding? Have you done much video with these lenses on the a7c, or not much at all?
No, I have not. I mean, I did a few things, like just testing the camera out and the video features. I was filming most of my YouTube videos on this. But then when we started going live, I started using the a6000 so I can hold this and show it and all that stuff. And really, yeah, it works just as good as anything else. And just to let anybody know, someone was asking me, how is the Sony 50mm f1.8 that I'm filming this on the a6000 in video mode? And you're watching all our live shoots in my last couple. Yeah, it's on. I got it on. What is that called? Where you could put the tracking in a face detection, but in a box. I forget what you call it, because I just don't want it to accidentally focus on the back for whatever. And I mean, is it drifting? I don't know.
No, it's fine.
Pretty good to me. Yeah, it's like a 50 cheap lens on a 60 on an a6000, and we're doing live video, and I mean, it looks great. The background's blurry enough for me. It's a good setup.
Also, Aaron, Leslie said, thanks, Aaron, I have the 90 lens. The 90 is an incredibly sharp lens, isn't it? I mean, it's one of Sony's sharpest
corner
lenses.
Corner to corner. That's the good thing about it. The Mickey got a little soft, so when I'm doing, or Mikey or whatever you call it, when I do like a line of rings, let's say, there's 4, and you want to fill the frame up as much as the rings. You don't want them like really tiny. So when you're filling that frame up, corner sharpness is really, really important, because those rings are going all the different rings are going to the corners, and the Mickey was soft on there, and when you zoom in, you really couldn't even make out the I don't know, the cuts in the diamond. Whereas the 90mm at f8, which I'm usually shooting at, it's just like, I mean, pure all the way across. It's quite a joy to look at.
That's terrific. So if you have any questions for Aaron on that, because we better get to the next story, otherwise Aaron won't be getting his cocoa in bed. just leave them down below, and Aaron will get back to you because we both check the comments coming down below as well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to talk about another story which was interesting that I saw in Petapixel, Aaron, and it was actually talking about this. Let me just share this screen and then we can discuss it. Let me go to here, application window, and this. So if we share this. So this was a article that I just read a little bit earlier, and it's quite interesting because it says the problem with fix it in post and get it right in camera. And what they're talking about is basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'll leave the link down below and you can have a look at it. But basically, it's talking about how if the ideal thing you can do, and we did discuss this last week too, is to get the result as close in camera as possible, because it means there's much less processing later on, and you often will get a better result if it's lit properly, exposed properly, and everything else. All of us, though, do it occasionally where we get something wrong and then we want to fix it in post. We'll say we can fix it in post later, and that's totally understandable because none of us are perfect. But the thing is that what the article is talking about is saying that we tend now to be getting to this point where everyone is just saying, well, I'll just fix it in post. So we probably are getting lazy as photographers. And it does make a difference because, for instance, let me just, before I go any further in this, there's points sometimes where you do, it does make a difference if you get it right in post. And I'll explain what I'm talking about. So let me just quit this for a second and let me open up this. Open. All right, so let me bring this up. Let me move this over a little bit. I'll just share this screen.
We'll answer some of you guys' questions when David gets off.
All right, so this is it. Now, this was one where I couldn't expose it correctly in camera because the issue here was that this was shot in daylight. So the wedding was done in daylight. I didn't have an opportunity to get this shot later. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but this was pure daylight. So I had to sort of think when I was shooting this exposure that I was going to do this in post later on. And I knew that. So I had to basically think about this and how I was going to do it. And what I thought was, there's no lights there. This was all done in post. But even the background, it was in bright sun. But I had to overpower the sun here and doing that gave me the ability to shoot this very, very dark. And what it did, the flash that was just outside of here, Kerry was holding the Profoto B10. With a Magnum reflector, which, adds an awful lot of power. That Magnum and that flash is the only thing that lit the bride up. So in other words, I had underexposed the background dramatically and then lit the bride up by the flash. But even with that, the result would never be okay as it was shot straight out of camera. I knew that I then had to take this into post and edit it to give me that ability to do that. So that's one way of looking at it. So in that case, I had to think about doing post later on. So I'm not saying you never ever think that way. Sometimes you do actually have to think that way. But if you look at, say, these ones, let me just find where I put those. I think it's under this one. I know I've showed these before, but they're good examples. If you look at this one, I think I have to share that as a separate thing. Share screen. Let me click on it. Application window, this one. If you look at this one, this has had no processing done at all because this was basically shot exactly in camera how I wanted to do it. So I exposed for the ambient light and then I added fill flash on the front because she would have been black. She would have been completely black, underexposed because all the light was coming from behind. But I wanted to show those beautiful clouds and I also wanted to show the beautiful sunflowers in the background. So I then had to boost the flash in. So this is a situation where if you didn't light this up correctly at the beginning, you could not really fix this in post to look the same way. Yes, you could edit it, but it would not be anywhere near as sort of sharp, naturally lit looking like it. I shouldn't say naturally lit, but lit like it is if you didn't do this, if you did this in post and not correct in camera. So this is where I'm saying it's important to try and get it correct in camera in this regard. But that other picture that I showed you, I did have to have the thinking that I was going to fix them in post. So let me just stop that for a second, and then we'll go back to this article. Sharing. Here. But I do sort of believe, I do agree with what they're actually saying in some of this article, that we're getting lazy as photographers in the fact that we are relying too much on post when we probably could get it much better in camera if we slowed down. Now, sometimes in weddings and things, obviously you can't, and then you just say, well, I'm just going to have to fix it in post. But the whole article is talking about the concept of, our photography skills, like when you used to use film and everything else, fix it in post. And you might be able to discuss this too, Aaron. They're saying in this article that came from the film world, where they used to shoot film and they'd say, well, fix it in post. Is that correct?
I think so. It's kind of hard. I mean, I've always heard it in, doing the film thing. Fix it in post. I mean, that's been around a long time also in photography. I mean, I don't know how far back, but ever since, I don't know, 12 years or whatever, when I really started getting into photography, I kind of heard the term too. So I don't know if it was ever a video specific thing. However, Hollywood movies for probably a longer, well, I don't know what terminology where that would come from, because photographers were fixing stuff in the Lightroom, tinting stuff or whatever, and same with video film. So I'm not sure if that's I've heard it in film, the video making world, but I don't know if that's a specific thing or not. But
yeah, because they're saying here that fix it in post, actually a movie making term that has been added to photographers, and it generally means realizing there is an issue while you are in the process of shooting and making a determination that it will be more efficient or cost effective to correct it in post. So it's interesting to sort of say that.
And I have a comment on your photo. Yep. Now, what you just said there, cost effective. The photo you showed with the bride outside in broad daylight, but you made it look dark. Now, getting that look, like, when I do a short film, everything's storyboard, and I have a specific look as far as lighting, focal length, movement, and everything in each shot. And if you had that vision of that shot, but you only had time to shoot it when you had it, let's say you could only rent a certain spot to do a movie during these hours, it's like, this is supposed to be a nighttime shot, but we can only do it in the day. In order to get that look that you did in camera, that takes a lot of time and a lot of equipment to flag all that stuff off. I mean, that's like a huge production just to get that look in camera. So just like you're saying, you have to make up your mind as a photographer, is this cost effective and time effective to get this in camera right now, or am I just going to have to do it in post? And I think when you get better at photography and post-processing, you're going to know, in your Patreon, whatever you call it, Patreon website, I think you did a video like a shoot for the edit.
Yes.
And I think you were kind of, pushing to that, where if you know your skills, like this is a lot quicker in post in an air conditioning room than back at home, 10 minutes then to do this outside. So yeah, cost effective and time effective is something you only know if you're really good at photography and post-processing to make that conclusion. So.
I mean, sometimes, like it mentions in this article too, that it might be that you have a hair that's coming across the face, but it's the one photo that you really love. Well, that's a sort of situation where you can say, I will try and fix it in post. So that's, that is probably a relative part of this as well. But it's an interesting article. It says, when should you say I'll fix it in post? And it talks about if there's a flyaway hair on the cheek, I have two choices: stop what I'm doing, interrupt the moment, or fix the hair later in post, and things like that. The same process applies to get it right in camera. I'm just seeing what else they're saying in here as well. It's my recommendations. I think it's basically talking it through here that you're better off. Like I said, I don't want to read through all of this. I'm going to put the link down below. Let me just stop this screen sharing, and we can have a read of it and then put some comments down below what you think about this. But I do honestly believe that the problem is we've become a society where we just basically want everything immediately, and we don't take the time anymore to really think about getting things right at the beginning. And what I'm saying to you is, if you can, slow down a little bit. Slow down and then try and get the shot in the camera. It's like Aaron and myself talked about this last week, that we don't crop in camera. We keep the image.
We don't crop in post.
We crop in the camera so you see it as it is. I very rarely ever crop in post. So it's things like this that can make a real difference, because, like I said, you're thinking about composition, you're thinking about the art, you're thinking about everything like the lighting, exposure. Slow down with your people that you're trying to shoot or whatever you're trying to shoot, and see if you can get it exactly right in camera, and then just try then to add little finesses in the application later on, and you'll save so much time. Like, it's, if you can get 90% of your wedding images, like almost you could just use the JPEG and send them out. Your workflow is going to drop like 90%. And these are things that you've got to try and think about all the time. It's like when I try and do a studio shoot, I'll try and get that exactly correct so that I have to do so little retouching or everything later on. And that helps you in your workflow so much.
My jewelry photography, same way. I have my light set up. I'm looking in the camera. Actually, I have an output to my laptop now, and I get all the lighting and everything right in camera. That's why I use JPEG only. It's a quicker workflow, and I don't need to do any. I do, I Photoshop a little bit of nicks or dust or fibers that you can't see with your eye until you get in there, like, oh, look at that. But for the most part, it looks pretty darn close out of camera. The other thing is weddings. When I did my first wedding, I thought I was, going to save time by keeping it in auto white balance. Well, to my horror, having it in auto white balance, that white balance went so all over the place, even during the same type of session and area, where trying to fix that in JPEG is going to be next to really difficult. So even in the RAW, I had to do all these tweaks. This was a while ago. But then I learned, if I just set it into some other type of a white balance, let's say like daylight. Let's say you're outside in daylight and you forgot to change it when you went in, but you're shooting RAW, and now they're all have the same color cast. It's an easy fix by fixing the first one and then copying that edit over to others. So those are the things you start learning. Is it effective to do a white balance on a white card during a wedding? Absolutely not. I mean, can you imagine a white card over here? It's impossible. So a lot of that is, fix that and edit. You can make your workflow faster by, like David say, I forget what you said about the wedding. I'm losing my
I'm just saying that
ideas.
if you can get the wedding images,
then you could probably use JPEG. Yeah. And that is the white balance thing. I found that shooting RAW with a white balance setting saved me in post, because they're all pretty much, I just click the dial to wherever
I've got to show you something, Aaron.
And then I would just fix the single thing. Yeah.
I'm going to do a talk about it, but this has changed everything for me. I use this little device on here.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those a while ago.
With a white balance app that I'm going to do a video on, and I can just walk around here, take a white balance, put it in my camera, and it's done.
Because it's taking the whole ambient, right?
Yeah,
with that dome.
It is so close to what you're getting. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a video, but boy, did that change everything. I've got a question here too, just saying, I just picked up my Sony a7c, but only have the kit lens. How do you like the new G50 2.8? I haven't used that one.
I don't know which one that is. What is
I'm not sure either.
50? That might be wrong. There's a new what, 45, right?
Yeah. Yep.
New 45 f2.8? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
And then there's a new 50 1.2.
So the thing too, Mark mentioned a comment about that you can do everything now with the software. But the thing for me is, I love that kick when you get the image right in the camera and you look at it immediately. I get no more satisfaction than that. And also just being able to show the bride or your client that image that looks stunning in the back of the camera is a big thing. And I've found that particularly makes people relax. It makes them excited about what they're going to get later on. And I just love that artistic side of it. That, don't get me wrong, I love Photoshop as well. But like I said, I will try and get it 90% correct in camera, sometimes often 100%, but where I don't have to do anything. But that's what I love about, you know, just trying to get it correct in camera.
My whole idea of, you know, in camera or out camera, it completely depends on the scene. If it's an artistic thing like David did, he had to do it in post. There's just no way. So there's really no clean cut way, like always get it right in camera. That's impossible. Or always do it in post, then that's just going to be really impossible because there's a whole lot of stuff. A lot of times when I'm photographing, there might be like a, sometimes we take models and we put like the clamps in the back of their dresses because sometimes the dresses aren't made for them to cinch it up in places. And sometimes on some photo shoots I would be doing, I would see that clamp coming out to the side, and sometimes I'm looking and says, now that's an easy fix in post. I'm still just going to keep going here because everything's just going.
Well, you don't want to
or
stop
we don't
the
have
moment.
time.
Yeah.
You know, she's got, oh my gosh, great. And here in Puerto Rico, you know, it can get sweaty, bead of sweat, makeup running, all this stuff. So a lot of times I know I could do that literally really quick in post. So I'm just going to keep going. So as a photographer, as I'm working, I've been doing it long enough to know like that's an easy, quick fix. Or sometimes like we were doing a Photoshop of my wife, and she had a bra underneath with a strap dress on, and one of the straps or the bra came up. Both of these situations happen. So anyways, the bra would come up a little bit, and as I'm photographing, like that's going to be way too long to have to do a clone stamp of her skin here and, you know, go down, and it's just like, you know, I know that could be quick, but to make it look real good, it could take. So I said, forget it. So, you know, we fixed her real quick, even though we were kind of in a rush. So that was me knowing through experience, like that's going to take way longer than I want for this photo. So let me go over there and fix that. Okay, let's go. Other times with these masks we have to wear, she would take the mask off and forget to put it somewhere, or I forget to take it from her, and she'd have it in her hand, and I would be photographing. I would look like, the mask, give me the mask. So that, you know, photoshopping that out would just be horrific with the background that was there and everything. So I would just stop, I would take the mask, I would put it in my back pocket, and then, so you have to know your skills both in camera and in post to know what's best for the situation. In camera, I set up my in camera on deep, and I think I give it 1 saturation, and I use DRO2, you know, little things like that. So when you look at the back of the camera to show your clients, like, wow, it's saturated, it's contrasty, it looks amazing, even though I might use the raw, but sometimes, you know, like there's no trash on the ground, her hair doesn't need, I can just use that. So getting it right in camera is good also, and I think as a photographer, you should learn the skill of that and know when it's cost effective to do it in post. That's
Plus the JPEGs in these new cameras like the a7c, the A1, the a7S3 are just gorgeous.
No, it's like, this isn't even the same sensor as the Sony A7, what do you got? The
A7 III, A7S3.
Yeah, now I played with those RAW files and JPEG files.
Hang on, Aaron, I've got to
go for it. Now I played with those RAW files and JPEGs coming out of the camera he has, and yeah, they were a whole nother level. I think we can still hear them, but they were a whole nother level, even better than the Sony a7c. However, you know, the JPEGs look good. Even my Fuji cameras, I mean, taking a JPEG shot, it's like sometimes I didn't even feel like I can hear him in my ear. It's confusing me. And so JPEGs are good too, but you know, we're not JPEG and rawing right now, but getting it out of camera, I would say get it to look good here, because I know a lot of people who just shoot RAW plus JPEG, but they don't do anything to the JPEG in the camera. So when you show a client, you know, it looks all colorful and contrasty, but that's just my take on it. Let me see if I can bring up the chat and see if there's any questions. If I can read it, you know, these are just reading glasses, so they're not like ideal for my eyes. If you have any questions, I don't even know how far back. I saw someone, I think it was Joe Sullivan, I think, Sullivan. It says comparison of the Tamron at 75 millimeters and a fixed prime at 85 millimeters. I don't know what that question is to or who. I didn't mention an 85 millimeter. Maybe you could be a little more on that. Hit the like button. Yeah, actually, you know, Axeman, when I was reading that while Dave was talking, it reminded me to go out and hit the like button on this video. So everybody thumbs this video up. We got Long Rider. Aaron has a good eye for composition. I saw that. Thanks, Long Rider. Yeah, I'm all about composition. I mean, I put a fixed, when I'm using my Tamron, I basically use this as a 75 millimeter. That's how I have it, and I use my feet to compose the shot because I like compression. And only if I can't get the shot in, meaning, oh, I want to see that building, or I want to see more, or I can't get back far enough, only then do I ever really zoom out. Or if I'm doing I have this shot I always love to do, and that's wide and low. Of course, I'm at 28. So yeah, I'm usually composing with the 75 millimeter. And likewise, when I'm on the kit lens, it's usually at 60 millimeters, and I'm composing with that. Unless the shot doesn't fit the scene, well, then I only zoom out. What else we got here? Why bother, who's this, George? Why bother shooting anything? We can be like Scott Kelby and just do everything in post. Well, I actually like, fiddling around with the camera, photography. I do motion graphics as well, and graphic design. To me, they're completely different tools. I don't have my iPad with me. I like doing all that, and I also like holding a camera and actually doing the art of photography. I think they're both two different things. When I do a lot of my magazine type stuff, I'll use the camera to get the slate or the image, and then I'll do all that beautiful artwork in post. I think David already answered that question of Mark. I guess years of shooting gives us a trained eye, and we almost do camera checks automatically. That's the thing, Mark. Yeah, when I'm shooting, I'm pretty quick. You always heard, even David said, slow down. I just don't slow down, and I can't. So I'm like really quick, but when you do it long enough, you just know like, that's not gonna work, or you just get used to it. But to newcomers, I would say, do your best to get it right in camera. That means you know your settings, you know the situation, you got an idea of what you want. It's just gonna make your photography better. So getting it right in camera to a point is great, but then you might be a situation where I don't always use flash, and I expose for the highlights, and my subject is dark, and I post-process that by lifting the shadows. So I'm not getting it in camera, I'm getting it in post. What else? Here we got Random Dude. As a rookie, I have time to fix in post if needed, but 100% get you working pros don't have time to fix all the shots. Yeah, we went over that too. If you're doing a studio shoot naturally, you've got time to get it really good in camera, so in post there's not much to do. Weddings is another thing, trying to get it, that's hard, trying to get it in camera, but if you know your exposure as far as exposing it and all that stuff, and you get that right, then you're not in there, bringing down highlights and bringing up things and saturations and all that stuff and fixing horizon. Can you imagine having to do that for like 1,000 to 2,000 shots of a wedding? That would take a long, long time. So getting it right in cameras for stuff like that. Let's see. Greetings. Oh, hey, Steve, how you doing? We got Random Dude. Does David need any more gimbals? No, David does not need any more gimbals.
I got one yesterday.
I know, he's always getting gimbals.
It's the Moza Moza 2S. It's a beauty. Wait till you see it. I can't wait.
That is too funny.
Sorry about that.
If you want to,
I had to nick off.
If you want to look at Random Dude, just ask, does David need any more gimbals? If you want to continue reading after that, I'm having a hard time reading the chat.
We better finish in a minute because you're going to run out of battery. Let me just see. Well, like I said, I did get the gimbal yesterday sent to me. I've got it in the box in the house. It's the new Moza Air. The Moza Air 2 that I had, I love. It's the big one that's sitting behind me, actually. But there's a new version out. I don't even know if it's released yet. I don't even know if we should be saying anything. But anyway, I've been sent the Moza Air 2S. And I can't wait. Like, it looks so cool. So I'm going to be reviewing that in the coming days.
Another gimbal.
What else? Yeah, another gimbal. I'm going to have to sell some of those others, that's for sure. Let me keep going down.
Joe, if you can read what Joe's saying here, right below Random Dude.
I wanted to know, what was that one? I wanted to know, how much difference is there between compression at 75 and 85 difference in? Well, look, they're very, very close. It really just depends. When I go to 85, I use it as a prime lens that's obviously it's the 1.8. So I'm usually shooting at 85 1.8. Then there will be a difference because you have got that sort of extra length that's there, and also the 1.8. I love my 85, but I only put it on for special shots that I think I really need it. I have a headshot of the bride sitting down that I always use it for, where she's looking up, because I love the fall off that's going down. Most of the time, though, I would use just the 75. The Tamron 28 to 75 will stay on for most of the shots, and then if I need that specific look, I'll put the 85 1.8 on, or if I need it for light and things like that. So, you know, that's how that works. Yeah, sorry I had to disappear, guys. I had to book a surgeon for my head. So that's all done now, so which is good. What else? That's about it. Let me just check down here because I've got that one about the Mini. A new version, I just got it yet, my first gimbal. Well, congratulations, Daniel. You're going to love it. Enjoy using that. I think that's the similar thing like the Osmo Action. You know, the little one we had with the moving camera at the top, Aaron. So I think that's what that one is.
All right.
And that's about it.
I was looking for an example. I know I did an example of 75 mil and 85 mil, but I just can't find it right now. But like David said, it's there is a difference there. But I mean, if I use the 75 millimeter on the Tamron, and I took a shot, and then we walked somewhere else and we took another shot, and I switched lenses, it'd be hard to know which one I did, because if I was closer to my subject on one shot with this at f2.8, but then a little further with the 85 at f2.8 and 1.8, you know, it's just like, would you really know? But if you're really looking for blurrier backgrounds and more compression, well, yeah, the 85 is definitely going to be more than this. As far as sharpness, which lens are you referring to? Because sharpness can definitely vary.
The Tamron is ridiculously sharp. The Tamron lens is nuts how sharp that is.
Hard to beat. That's why I still have it.
Yeah, you do not need a sharper lens than that. The thing is too, if ever I'm just doing a straight portrait and I know that's all I'll be doing, I'll immediately use the Batis 85 or the 135. Usually the 135. So that's what will happen. If it's a definite portrait that I'm going to be doing, I'll use that. If I'm doing something where I might want to get the background in and also do, say, some portraity stuff, like a wedding, for instance, that's where I'll use the Tamron 28 to 75, because I can pull right back at 28 and I can, move anything in between up to 75. So it's incredibly handy to have that focal range over that. Like Greg also said here that the Tamron 28 to 200 is a great option, and that when I tested that, it is a great lens. I was surprised how good that lens is. Even though it's variable aperture, it's still terrific.
Here's a question. Mod Film says, don't we shoot RAW so we can edit? Exactly. If you like to edit, then definitely shoot RAW. You're going to get more out of your photo. So sure. And then we have
now, Aaron. The JPEGs are so good. This is what I'm saying to people, that if you shoot correctly in camera, the JPEGs are beautiful in these newer cameras.
Yeah, if you're using a flash, like me, I do a lot of non-flash photos where I have to bring the shadows up on my subject because I expose for the background. For me, doing photos like that, not using a flash, absolutely I have to shoot RAW. But if you're like David and other people who use flash a lot to light their subject up, what do you need RAW for? Because RAW is going to give you that dynamic range, but if you're exposing for the highlights and then you're getting your flash the right brightness for your subject, you need to know the limitation of your sensor and in the situation. When we're shooting video, a lot of times we're not shooting raw video. So when we're shooting a scene, we have to get it right. We don't have that situation because we're shooting basically a lot of JPEGs because it's a compressed format. We have to get it right in photos. So when I did all my short films or commercials and stuff like that, I have to sit there and I got to light the scene because I know the dynamic range of my camera, and I know that wall back there with like right here in this situation, you can see that's way blown out back there. It's because my key light is on full power, but that's still brighter. So in order for me to really get this true and right, I don't care, we're doing YouTube videos, whatever, but I would just have to either put a dimmer on that or a gel on that to equal it out to this, because this is as bright as it gets. So that would be the dynamic range of this scene where I'm shooting video, I'm not shooting raw video. I would have to use a lot more time and effort. But if I wanted to do this and I didn't want to have the expense of getting these lights right, and I have a raw camera and I can shoot raw, and then I could edit it in post. So like David's saying, you know, if you're getting it right anyways and you're looking at it, it's like, what, there's the dynamic range. I already did the dynamic range in camera, so there's no need for raw really. Now you do get a little bit sharper images from raw, more detail, but that's really if you're doing skin retouching where you're trying to take, you know, scars or pimples away where it starts getting a little mushy because there's not a lot of pixel detail next to the spot you're doing. Then raw starts getting, but I would say a lot of majority of shots, JPEGs coming out of these new cameras are great. I wanted to.
Have you ever heard, Aaron, of Peter Colson? He's an Australian photographer that shoots fashion. Have you ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
Well, he's a very high-end photographer, you know, like massive studio. He shoots all the high-end models for Vogue and all this sort of stuff. But I watched a video about his the other day. He does some videos. But I watched a tutorial that he did, and he actually asked the model, she was stunning, the model that was there, and he said, the worst thing, he was actually he manual focuses and he tries to get the focus correct, but he actually made a comment to say that you would not, he was talking to the model, he said that high-end models do not want their skin to be razor sharp. And he asked the model, he said, is that true? And she went, definitely. She said, I would not be using you if you gave me an image where everything was super sharp. And this is the difference between like these really high-end photographers and, you know, more of the average type photographer out there. We all tend to go for the ultimate sharpness that's there. And that's the worst thing you can do for someone when you're dealing with portraits and things like that, because you don't want to show every pore in the skin. It's different when you have a guy like me that might have a craggly face or whatever, and you want to show those wrinkles to show age and, you know, what you've been through and everything else. But if you're doing a beauty shot, you do not want to use a really sharp lens. This is why they use Vaseline in the old movies, Aaron.
And if you ever watch certain cooking shows and Judge Judy, you'll notice when the cameras go on anything else but Judge Judy, you're going to notice there's going to be a big sharpness difference. And that's because she probably said, hey, when that camera's on me, that one that's always filming her because there's one on her and one on everybody else type of thing, that one probably has a diffuser on it, a Pro Mist filter, because she probably says, I don't want people to see my wrinkles. And young girls could be the same. They might have a little bit of, I mean, I've shot models that are beautiful, their skin looks great, but when it's really sharp, you can see a little bumps, even makeup, makeup cracks or whatever you call it, I don't know what you call it. And, you know, see, that's the thing. Everybody, you know, camera manufacturers are making more megapixels because everybody wants to be wowed by the zoom in post. They make it sharper lenses because it's the buzzword. Oh, is that lens sharper? And I know I say that a lot because you just kind of want to know the basis of your lenses. Where I find that when I zoom in at 75 millimeters on the Tamron, it's a little softer than the rest of it, and it's just perfect it's just a perfect sharpness, and 2.8 getting both eyes in focus most of the time, depending on where I'm at. And that's why I like this too, which we didn't bring up. It's a little bit softer at 75, and it works perfect for and you don't have to do all these little fine blemish, little small little things that when it's like a super sharp lens. So good point.
See, it's also interesting, and I love watching his. If I can remember the thing, I'll stick it down below. But when you watch someone like him, it's a totally different thing to watching what you would think of as being a normal YouTuber, photographer, or whatever. These guys are, you know, they're way up in the upper league. But see, he doesn't do things like frequency separation and things like that, because all he does is retouch out anything on the skin that he sees is not pure, just by using, you know, the clone tool or whatever. But he'll get rid of just those tiny pores, and then the rest of it is left exactly as it is. And this is the way high fashion is. It
depends on the skin.
Yes, you don't see high fashion models with plasticky looking skin because their makeup is usually always exemplary. They're beautiful women. They usually have really nice skin to start with. Yes, you might have to do a little bit, but they definitely do not want that sharp enough that you're going to see every single pore that they've got in their skin. That's for sure.
Yeah, now if someone has, like, if you're doing like someone that's not a model and you're doing weddings and they have bad acne, frequency separation is probably a must-have because that's a large area. Yeah, and that. But when it comes to models, and the other thing is, speaking of like megapixels and all this other type of stuff and cameras and sharpness, I forget his name. I mentioned him a few times. I talk to him every once in a while on Instagram, but he does for Vogue and all these other magazines. He uses a Fuji 24 megapixel camera, and you know, it's like when you hear the YouTube crowd or photographers, there's a lot of people who want to be photographers or think they are, or they just learned something new. And so they push this kind of like you think like everybody thinks that way. But the high-end people is the ones you really should be listening to and watching their videos. And they only got like 100 subscribers, you know? And they're like, my gosh, they're like doing what really counts, you know? Even like wedding photographers. This one amazing wedding photographer, he's got like, I don't know, like 12,000, I forget his name, 12,000 subscribers, and he's going into all this like really good stuff that you don't typically hear because of stuff like that, the sharpening and all these other things. So go to those guys, not the people that just go, I reviewed this lens, it's a really good lens, it's sharp, and it's compared to this, and they never show you any portfolio.
It's the unfortunate thing, it's the gear stuff that gets views. This is the problem, which is interesting because I love watching YouTubers that show the art side of things. And, you know, I mean, it's always the same. I'll get far more views if I say reviewed, you know, a Sony camera or a Sony lens or whatever. But Aaron's gone.
Yeah, I'm still here.
You know, far more than say we'll get for shows like doing this, which really, if you really want to get into photography, this is way more important than learning anything about like a camera review or whatever. You know, I mean, most of the YouTubers, I shouldn't say most, but an awful lot of YouTubers that are out there are gear reviewers and they haven't got any portfolio at all. So, you know, that's the problem. The guys you should be following are the ones that, yes, may review gear, but they have a portfolio that they can actually show off that they really can shoot, you know, and that's the difference.
Every time I do a review or any video, I show like a lot of my photos just so the person
Aaron,
doesn't.
I can see your face detection ring around your head. That's interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I did? My Sony a6000 battery just died, but you can still hear me because I'm plugged into my laptop. But I just dropped the old battery and put a new one in, and the camera was still on. I never shut it off, so I don't know. It did something funny there.
It's weird. That's weird. Yeah. How weird is that?
Now you guys can see the 50 word. Anyways, the typical YouTuber, you know, it's just like, oh my gosh, it drives me nuts sometimes because people are just following these people and all they do is either read a manual or they watch some other YouTubers and then they just say the same thing, and yet so many people are watching this. And if you look at the comments, and then they could do whatever they want, I don't care, but it's the newcomers saying, oh my gosh, you're the best, but they didn't show a single photo of anything, or they showed like a flower outside or something.
Tammy,
and, you know,
Tammy said, that's my channel, laugh out loud. No, it's not, Tammy. You do stuff which is all on your iPad and you're showing how that works. It's totally different.
Yeah, totally different. If you guys haven't already, I talk about her all the time. Tammy.
She's great.
She's in the, is she still here?
Yeah, she's there. She just put, that's my channel,
go click
laugh
on her,
out loud.
go find her channel. I learn a lot from her, because I use an iPad all the time to edit all my YouTube videos. And I've learned a lot from her. So if you want to go and start editing on an iPad using LumaFusion, is that what it's called? Yeah, LumaFusion. Yes. Check out Tammy. She'll tell you all kind of stuff. So yeah, different.
Just share it down below, Tammy. Put it in the question box so people can give you a follow. So
and she does a lot of good audio. Like I got to learn from her. My audio sucks. Hers is amazing, and she does all kind of reviews on audio as well. So if you really want to get good audio for your video, go there as well.
And I love the introduction, which is the hello ladies.
And gents.
Yeah, I love it. I love when she says that. It's so cute. Yeah, all right, well, that's about it because Aaron's going to run out of 2 batteries and I'm stopping him from getting his cocoa in bed.
I got to go get my cocoa. I got to get my warm milk before bed in this hot weather.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you on Friday, yes, US time for the usual Sony Alpha rumors and news, and I'll talk about some of the other lenses and things that are coming out as well in the coming days. Aaron's channel I'll stick down below as well in the comment box, so pop over to Aaron's channel. You'll be able to watch all of those videos that talk about his A7C that he's posted recently, because he's actually stuck up stacks of them over there. So like I said, Tammy, follow Tammy if you haven't. She's great. She has some wonderful stuff as well. Apart from that, everyone,
Hey, but real quick, we're going to be,
Yes.
we usually do this live on Tuesday,
Yes.
but we did it a day late just because of certain
Well, it was
situations.
because, yeah, I had to go and see the doctor about this yesterday for the results. So now to keep everyone updated, just so everyone knows, don't panic, but it is a cancer. It's a squamous cell carcinoma. So I do now have to go back to see the surgeon because even though this is a decent cut, they have to take now a tolerance, a much more bigger cut on the outside, and I'm going to have to get a skin graft. So it's not, I mean, it could be life and death if I left it go because it can kill you. But, you know, we're confident at this stage that they'll get everything off it once they do this next test done. And I'm going to see the specialist next Monday. So hopefully they can get me in fairly quickly to get it done. So
Indeed.
I'm not panicking. I'm staying positive. It is what it is. And, you know, with these, you've just got to get them early. So I'd just like to let you know. But it might mean that in the future, I will be wearing this much more often because I'm probably going to have a massive skin graft on my head. Yeah. It's lucky that I'm married to the most beautiful woman in the world and she loves me for who I am, Aaron.
We can get beat up and they'll still love us.
I'm old, so it doesn't matter what I look like now. I'm married and happily married. So apart from that, guys, we'll be back to the normal time next week on Tuesday US time. It'll be Wednesday Australian time. We just had to postpone it because I had to see that doc yesterday. Unless obviously something happens and I'm immediately put into surgery and then it just doesn't happen. So I'll let you know. So apart from that, everyone, we will see you in the next video. Have a great week until I see you at the end of the week live. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks a lot.